Hey, welcome back to the Relationship Lab, all things relationships. So I want to set up a preamble because I want to let people know as we have these discussions, there's going to be some disagreements. There's going to be might be some dissension. There's going to be some differences. But the one thing we want to do is we want to give people a diplomatic approach and give them the tools when we having these critical conversations. How can we collaborate? How can we compromise? And how can we make the necessary adjustments so we can help people out there that we don't always stay in a deficit model when we have these critical conversations. So me, you know me, I'm Alex, I'm your host. So I got two beautiful guests here. I got my baby man here. They call him DJ. I don't know how he's good behind the zigga.
I know, DJ is the home name. That's
the home name.
That's you call me DJ, mean you really know. You ain't close.
Yeah, I know. I'm giving them secrets, y'all. So, and then I have Mrs. Feet, and she is multi-talented. Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to be quiet. I ain't going to hold him hostage. I'm going to let Mr. Lyons give himself a quick intro, and then we're going to have Fee.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is DeJuan Lyons. By day, I am a professor of Spanish.
Sure.
And by night, I am a father, husband, got 2 kids. But most important, I really care a lot about language and how language the nuances of language and how that influences what people hear, what people say, their identities are connected to language. And I really get deep into the etymology of words and how they impact what people say, what people interpret. Yeah. And so that's what I do. I studied Spanish linguistics in grad school and undergrad. And I'm currently working on my doctorate in education. And I'll be focusing on looking at the nuances of how language impacts students that we teach and how a sense of belonging can derive from the teachers that they have and how certain rhetoric that the teachers use to encourage learning.
Hey, you know what, audience? I'm going to let y'all know words matter.
Yes, absolutely.
and you may have to walk around with a thesaurus when we finish this conversation. Or you can Google it, baby. You can ChatGPT. The words get a little confusing. Right. And context. Always, see, words and context matter when we have a conversation. I just want to add that anecdote there.
Well, I'm not that deep.
Yes, you are.
I'm like, ooh, this brother deep. I was thinking to myself. Okay. I'm Felicia. By trade, I'm an attorney. Yeah. Criminal defense attorney for 21 years.
Yeah.
I'm also an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
That's how I'm labeling it now.
Yeah.
I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Which is a facet of things, a bunch of things included in that. I do have my own management company. I manage artists, entertainment, and otherwise. I am a singer myself.
No doubt.
A performer myself.
No doubt.
And I also do relationships. Isn't this something?
I know, that's why you're here. That's why you're here.
I don't know how I got into it, but the Lord will take you where He needs you to go. And so I have done relationship seminar. I've been asked for a number of years to do a podcast on relationships, but having the job, you can't do that yet. But I retired in 4 years, praise God. So
you're gonna be my resident.
You know what?
You know I got it in Vegas. You gonna be my resident. You're gonna be not my sidekick. You're gonna be the resident person. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna kick off because I think this is a great conversation to have, and I think I believe it's so critical and it's vital, right? So we're gonna talk about today the state of relationships in today's world, one with ourselves and with others, and where we function in our social settings. So at work, at home, and also how we socialize and how that impacts who we are, and how it influences us, how they narrowly define conversations and what people look like. When it comes to words, you say words, images come to mind. You should put images, words come to mind. But I'm going to start off here. If you were to look at today's state of relationships, right, and just in your goings, in your travels, what's your experience when people say, do they have a sense of identity and do they have a sense of self?
Yeah, I would say, I think I'm gonna go first sort of romantic relationship and then also talk about work relationship. Yeah. Because I have seen, now I've been married for 7 years. Yeah. But I've been with my spouse for 14 of them.
Wow.
And before that point, I think we don't. Most of who you are is not exposed until you are with somebody.
Get married,
right?
It's a mirror. It's
a mirror.
Yeah, and hold it up, and then you're like, "Yo, I didn't know that this is it." Exactly. Like, and then they're like, "Deal with it."
So, but you know, so here you go. So this is the question then. I like how you set that up. So what did you learn about yourself that you didn't know in that first romantic relationship?
That I'm impatient.
No, okay.
That I'm
impatient.
impatient.
There you go.
So, hey, but this is the thing. So if you get married or you get with this person and you discover that, all right, you're an impatient person. Now, what do you do with that?
Yeah.
Because it's not their job to figure out how you handle your impatient self, right? And part of some of the tools I think we lack in relationships is not knowing how to handle what's internal once it's exposed. But over the years, I think having constant exposure of the thing that you are internally, and then being able to say, okay, this is I'm impatient with these certain things, I'm impatient with that thing, how does that impact the relationships I care about? Then I think that should change in some way how you behave
no doubt
after a certain point. But to answer the question, I think me personally, I don't think I had all the tools to deal with like who I was internally, like who is Dewan when you look in the mirror, because some of the things that you are you don't discover them until someone else shows it to you, or you're in a circumstance where you don't realize that, oh, I handled it this way because 1, 2, 3. So I guess the answer is I really don't. I don't know.
So let me piggyback on that. I'm gonna let you get it. So piggyback on that. What do you, if you was to recollect now and reminisce?
Yeah.
What do you believe shaped or influenced you as a man, a young man, and then a married man, and as a father as well?
Wow, that's a tough one. I definitely think my mother. My mom was pivotal in raising me. Like, I come from a single parent family. My dad was very absent in life. And he passed away when I was 13. So I didn't really get to spend much time with my father. But my mom, I think, did a good job at giving me tools, discipline, ethic. Because she would always say this, and I say this to my kids now, like, listen, I'm not going to be with you forever. You need to know how to take care of yourself. So she taught me, some of these things explicitly, some of these implicitly, but learn how to cook, how to sew, how to clean, how to wash your clothes, how to groom yourself, how to take care of yourself.
Y'all hear this is the guy doing this. This ain't got nothing to do with gender, y'all. This
Exactly.
Responsible adult.
Responsibility. I mean, exactly. The ability to respond to something.
You know it.
And so I think, I definitely got to give credit to her. That has influenced my work ethic now, the kind of father that I am, right? Yeah. I want my son and my daughter to grow up and be able to take care of themselves, be able to know who they are first. Then before they are able to be involved with any kind of partner or anything. So I would definitely say my mom. After that, I had mentors that had poured into me. I'm grateful for that, who have found it not robbery at all to invest in my life, give me tools that they have been taught over the time, that gel well with me, that helped helped grow me. So all those things, I think, shaped my identity as a man now, one as a father, as a son, as a brother, because we got all these different titles, and we're different in all of them. And I think the foundation, though, of who I am as I've grown up, definitely is my mom, for sure.
Okay. Let's speak.
Yes. I'm sorry, as an attorney, I always listen and process. I'm
telling y'all. That's a taught skill. I know I'm in the room, right?
Taught skill.
I don't want no legal implications in this conversation.
So you said...
Your Honor, now I'm first to bench.
Yes, I have to take it in. But what's interesting to me, I always say, Al, that when he said, what did you learn? You asked him, what did you learn? I'm a little older than you, about 2 or 3 years. So he asked what impact, and it's so funny, the older I get, I realize that our childhood and what we learned and saw, and it's more so what we saw.
Absolutely. Than what was said to
That
us.
influences how we react to situations when we get older. And it's usually something dramatic or traumatic in life that makes you stop. to analyze how you were behaving. So you said when you got married and all of a sudden you were like, I'm not good with this girl not doing what I need her to do, or this boy not doing what I need them to do. If you would take the time then to start to try to, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Where did I learn that from?
Right.
That's when you say how to change the behavior. That's the insight in that, which sometimes we need help with that.
Yeah.
We need help with that. And what I praise God is this generation now, not ours, Al, but this baby right here, they are more apt to get that help than we were taught. And then my parents, you can forget it. They weren't going at all. So I think that's one of the things I think is good now, that you all will stop and realize and acknowledge and say, something wrong. I'm not doing this right. I'm not processing this right. This is not healthy for me. As opposed to our generation now, we're like, something wrong, but I ain't want to go talk to nobody. So usually it's something traumatic in your life that will have you stop, self-reflection, and then try to seek help. And sometimes, the criminal justice system, I come with a lot of traumatic every day. And I see people that don't have the skills to have that insight. And then where do they get help?
So let me ask you this. That's a great point, because you see people on the other end of the spectrum.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
From a legality standpoint.
Yes.
Where then
or life.
Yeah.
Just life.
And it's costly.
Yes.
Right. At that level, it's costly. So what made you want to get in the law?
I want to help people.
Okay.
I really wanted to help people. My dad was an attorney, so we have that. Okay. But I really wanted to be one of those people that help my people. Yeah. And what higher way to do it? And I also understood the value of education. Both my parents were educated, which was kind of different for some people in my generation. But I learned in getting an education, there's no door closed to me. Yeah. It's only closed if I don't open it. Right. But with the education, I can open every single door and sit at every single table. And what a blessing. I know I had a nephew who went to high school, and he told me he didn't want to go to college because he didn't see the benefit. Bless his heart. And so what I explained to him was, boy, I can go anywhere I want to in the world. Yeah. I got one of the highest degrees in the world. I don't have to go to school ever again. Yeah. So no door is closed.
Education travels.
Yes.
That's what people don't understand. What you have travels, right? Right. And it opened up doors. It allows you to get into a lot of different rooms.
Yes.
Because there's going to be rooms in life that we're going to have to enter into. And I always say, some people can't get in the room, some people can't stay in the room, and some people can't leave with something from the room. Right? Because you got to be able to, and then understand the room that you're in. Right? And what you need for sure while you're in there. So let me ask you this, and because you see a lot of, what do you think some of the challenges is when you see how people, from the decisions that they make, how they view themselves is predicated on the decisions that they make. And if they had a better sense of self, because I think that's huge.
Yes.
I think those decisions would be different, just in your field.
Right. Better decisions of no insight, see no future, which is sad. See no way out, which is also sad. So when you feel like your life is in this box, you make decisions just in the box. No decisions, nothing on the outside that influence you on how to get out of the box or how to survive. Most of my clients, unfortunately, see no future. See life getting no better. That's why they come in and out of the jail. So no skills to know how to stop that cycle. There's none at home. There's none in the criminal justice system. There's none in the jail. Where they get it?
It's interesting. I believe that once someone knows their self-worth and don't let other people define what that is, right? And then understand the intrinsic value of the innate ability that they have, right? We're going to get later. This is a thing called social scripts, right? We allow other people to call plays in our life. Yep. And we give people too much power on TV. Right? And all the areas that we function in. I always say, when you don't have a life of your own, you will live your life through others.
Yeah, and you vicariously or explicitly, however.
And it's intentional that the programming is such.
Yeah.
So if you was to look at, and I guess we talked about how we got here, right, and what shapes us, and as you all know, it's what we in counseling we always say, you always counsel the kid in the grown up.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You said it.
That's
childhood.
That childhood, that thing, like where did this come from?
Yes.
Where did it come from?
Right.
It's and we're gonna transition quickly. Now wait, let me say this. So you talked about work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's always how you communicate and relate to each other. I always say, what somebody thinks, what somebody believes control how they think.
Yes.
And how they think determines how they communicate and relate to others.
Yes.
Right?
For sure.
Like you talked about how you want to teach, how you want to inform. And it all comes, what helps shapes those beliefs. So when you enter to the workplace dynamic, and you and you dealing with boys.
Yeah.
High school boys.
That is so I thought that I was kind of getting out unscathed by not teaching at a co-ed school. And it's a very different sort of dynamic, I would say, when it's boys. The stuff like you say, well, we don't deal with the cattiness of there being girls, but the other thing is that this whole kind of like alpha male stuff you see, and you see a lot of this sort of wanting up over academics or sports or intellect. And it's amazing to see in so many different ways that I'm just like, some of them in some ways are just very mediocre. And in the sense where you want them, but they think that they are high level performing, and you want. I try my best to encourage them to know who they are first, so that they are not necessary, because the kids that are good in tech are not the ones on the football field, but because they see everybody like you the man, you got to be on the football team, you got to be. No, you are assert yourself there in the IT department, because that's your field. You don't have to wear the badge of somebody else that's not really you. But so in that form, like in the work dealing with my students, I'm always trying to build up their self-image, their own self-image of realizing that you are who you are, and if you don't have it, you can't. You got to work with what you got, and trying to build them off of what they have, rather than trying to and have them impose. Because imposter syndrome is crazy. People try really hard to fake the funk, and they don't got it, and then they're struggling internally. So I think that's where I get my pride at teaching, being an educator, is I know I have the ability to shape minds. I know I have the ability to get them to see themselves through what I say and what I teach them. Now, I teach language, I teach Spanish, but there's so many cultural elements within the language that I teach that is relatable to their lives, and how you mention certain things and they go, oh, this is just like what we do. I say, yes. And then how does that impact you in some way? What does that mean?
So how do you communicate with them accountability?
Woo!
And responsibility.
So that's a challenge, because so what I see, and I'm not too far from their generation.
I know you're not.
And so it's interesting, because I think that I teach high schoolers, so they're 14 to 17 years old, and 18 years old, and part of the thing is they come through with this idea that if they don't meet deadlines, it's okay. If you can, I can be late because the teacher just take my work, late. I don't have to be in class on time. I'll just get the detention, and then it's fine. And that's a hope. I'm trying to break that culture in my classroom with regard to when you turn in work, how you turn in work. So not that you turn it in. So they asked Mr. Lang, are you grading this by accuracy or completeness? I'm grading it by both. I want it completed. I want it right.
Oh, there's a difference.
There's a clip. Wow. You didn't know?
Accuracy.
So because they
I
really
didn't know.
Because what they want to know is, all right, if I turn it in, is that's good enough? And no, I want it correct, and I want it on time.
Wow.
Like, because when you get out in the real world, if you pay your phone bill late, you're gonna get a late fee, right? Or they're gonna shut it off, right?
Yeah.
Or if you, and another one is when they, arriving to class late. Oh, I was just 2 minutes late. No, then you're late, not just, right? There's something that mom always says: if you 5 minutes before time, you're early. If you arrive at 5, you're late. You didn't give no time for anything to happen on the road. You need some time. So I try to encourage my students to be accountable that way. Hold them to, give them the standard.
Yeah.
Right? You can't have anybody be held accountable if you don't know what I'm being accountable for. So give them the standard. You need to be here. And then I ensure that they do that by deductions here, deductions there, or I just talk to them, meet with them. Hey, why are you doing that? Tell me a little bit more why you feel like that's okay to turn it around. Oh, just because I thought that I was gonna get a few points late, or I had a game last night and I just couldn't get it done. So then we get to a conversation of, okay, now let's talk about communication skills. You could easily say, Mr. Lyons, I had a game that ended at 10. I know this assignment is due at 11, but I won't get home until whatever. Is it okay if I get an extension? Or I'm aware that I might get a few minutes late, but I just want you to know why. That means the world to a teacher, but beyond that, an employer, whoever you're talking with, because people understand that you had the foresight, right? You had the foresight to see that it was valuable enough to communicate this point because I know what the expectation is.
Right.
So that's what I'm trying to. It ain't easy work.
I know. You almost look like them too, the same age. It's like
close to the same age.
I know. Hey, Sophie, let me ask you this. So at your place of work, man, what do you see from a gender dynamic standpoint, male and female, in handling life situations and life responsibilities? And let me ask you this way: how does those intimate relationships impact their decisions, and then how do they show up with those intimate or difficult relationships when they come to you? Can you see there's a correlation between those dynamics? Because you deal with a plethora of situations in relationships.
Yes.
Right? From a parental, from a being responsible financially, from an abuse standpoint, and the list goes on and on.
Intimate far as you want.
Well,
romantic, you want.
So say for instance that
I can go to anyone. So which one you want, honey?
However you want to slice that pie up.
Well, let's do intimate first. That's always
that's juicy. That's right there.
And I mostly see it too in the domestic violence.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
situation. I have issues with this. I'm gonna be honest. I have issues. Me being a woman.
Yeah.
And it's funny. The issues you may think is because I'm thinking women are getting abused. That's not where I am. I have issues because I am a woman and I know what we do. I know how we think. I know us.
Yeah.
So and I represent a lot of mostly men that come into that situation. And what I'll hear from him is like, I didn't do anything now. I didn't do this. I didn't do this. And then I'll have the woman contact me saying, okay, he really didn't.
But they're at your door at that time.
Oh, they on my phone. They're on the phone. They're at the jail to see him. Yes, they in court. They acting a fool in court.
Yeah.
They trying to get him out of jail.
Right.
Yeah.
But she's the victim. She got mad because she went in his phone, saw something, or he was talking to another woman, and all of a sudden we come up with this. And the man, unfortunately, he has no clue, unfortunately, how to maneuver out of this.
Yeah.
Because as soon as he gets in the system, he feels defeated anyway. So then the communication, the lack of communicating, the lack of the ability to articulate was here. So in seeing this dynamic, and even I think one time we had this discussion about child support. When a man goes to child support or custody court, if a man feels that he's not being heard, or he feels defeated, he shuts up.
Down.
Right.
Yeah.
She don't have that issue.
No,
So she's constantly talking, and Your Honor, he did this and he did this, and he has this much money, he has this job, and he just tell him how much I will pay. You know, he's kind of like that. So far as the intimate, that the woman is more a better communicator. She's more emotional. She and a man will shut down and not say anything. So when I hear you saying you talking to the young men about that aspect of their life and communicate, I don't know if that's innate. I'm not a man. I'm not quite sure, but it plays out a lot in the criminal justice system in the man not being able to, one, communicate how he's feeling and what's going on, even the situation, and also for him to take these this put it together and come up with something very difficult.
And
very difficult.
Yeah,
very difficult. Even difficult for him to see the whole how he's playing a role in it.
Right.
And very difficult, as opposed to her, the girl. She understands.
Well, I think
and uses it.
Well, how we define expression, we base it on how we define emotion. We base it on gender, not expression, right? So everybody, and I just want people to know, everybody responds emotionally.
Everybody.
You can make a bad decision being happy.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You can go buy a car you can't afford because it looks good. Okay?
Yes.
So I want people to think all emotions are not negative, and you can make bad decisions with good emotions with being impulsive. Right? So I believe that men have been taught, or societally, that if I express myself in a certain type of way,
it's aggressive.
Or emotional and feminine.
Or it's
not
feminine.
masculine.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and that, first of all, that's a hogwash.
Exactly.
But unfortunately,
I know, and that's the dynamic. So it's a thing called stonewalling. Now you said men shut down. You want to kill a relationship, it's the apocalypse. They call it the 4 horsemen.
Right. So you ain't getting nothing.
So what happens in that is called flooding. He's overwhelmed, right? Psychologically, because like you said, he hasn't been able to articulate in a way that's constructive,
right?
Because we equate being to have good articulation and communication, then it must be based on being feminine and things of that nature. And I always say, just because you talk the most, that don't mean you're good at communicating. I tell folks,
absolutely.
So I think those are some of the dynamics, and it's sad to see that. And that's one of the things we want to talk about is and then going to get the help, going to talk to other men who can express themselves in a way that's constructive. I remember my son said to me one day, he says he was disappointed, frustrated, whatever the case may be. And he says, Dad, I said, well, tell me how you feel. He said, well, I can't tell you how I feel because if I tell you how I feel, I'm going to be disrespectful. I said, well, I'm going to show you how to express how you feel in a respectful manner.
Right.
But don't avoid that.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You can express your disappointment, but I'm going to teach you how to express your disappointment or frustration constructively. Right? And you need the tools. And I think that's one of the things we're talking about, helping people get those tools on how to express themselves and be animated and be passionate about it with vigor, like you said. And somehow how women express themselves. And they given, as you know this, you had an all-boys school, we've been boys school, they given a lot of latitude culturally to do that. Right? And then we're supposed to take everything on the chin. And then we internalize that, and that's really detrimental to our emotional and psychological and physical health.
But something you said is good. When DJ was talking, I'm gonna say DJ because I'm going to put you in my family. That's right. When he was saying how he grew up, he said, unfortunately, his father wasn't there. Well, unfortunately, passed away. Sorry to hear that. And then you saying your son told you this, and he was able. So DJ didn't have that. And culturally, they would want us to believe that men like you aren't there. But I just don't believe that.
No.
I mean, I think a lot of us have bought into the absent father. No, he's there. It's a lot of fathers there. Maybe not in the traditional sense, but they are. But what I like is when you have this platform and you're working with God to teach our boys that's allowed. to express themselves that way. And I hope we can change the misconception that our fathers or men aren't there to teach our young men how to express themselves. I'm big advocate for men, if you can't tell.
No, I know.
I'm a big advocate.
Because there's so much of us that is hinged on.
And that's what I come in contact with every day, and to see it. And I have I have 3 boys. So I have all boys. The Lord bless him with boys. I wanted a daughter, but he said no, so God bless it. So, it's just for me, that's a passion for me to make sure that I, as a woman, I tell other women about all the good men, because you don't hear that either. That whole dynamic where women, we have put men kind of lower than us. Pray for us. Y'all pray for us.
I gotta say about good.
Pray for us. And men low. It's destroying.
Well, you bring up something interesting, and I think that if a man want to get, and I don't even want to say get in touch with himself or his feelings or his emotions, change a few diapers. see what came out of her. That's an extension of you.
Dramatic.
Don't avoid that. Change a few diapers. Say some lullabies. Read some books.
That's right. Do some bath time.
Haircut. Change some things.
Cuddle.
Yep.
Show that expression of joy in that capacity, and have those conversations with the boy or the girl. I got 2 boys. I got 2 girls and 1 boy. So I'm affectionate like that, because I don't. And here's the thing. I want people to understand: do not let someone else determine or define who you are.
Right.
But when you don't have a good sense of who you are, others will define it for you.
There you go.
And I think that's one of the missing elements. When it comes to that, and we talked about how did we get here, when it comes to these intimate relationships, and I think, and we're gonna pull out some data a little bit later, and I think the prevailing thought, and remember we're talking about the state of relationships in today's world, one with ourselves and then one with others, and I always share with people, get healthy first, right? And when people say they can't find good, I say, look, good is never lost. Good know what good is.
Right. Just like bad know what bad is. You know what I mean?
But are you good? That's the question.
Right.
And good don't come in gender, it come in character.
There you go.
Right? So when people say, I can't find a good man, they don't come in gender, they come in character.
There you go.
It does.
And good know what good is. Good is never lost. So, one of the things, and how have you seen, and like we said, we all got kids, yours is much younger. How have social media platform, or how, and here's another question from our generation was a little different. We was more, I said social media is the virtual playground. It's the same activity.
Sure.
Right, but you can get connectivity from a distance, as opposed to the playground as you're in close proximity from a physical standpoint.
Sure.
How have you seen social media impact the dynamics of communicating and relating?
Listen, I'll tell you, I participate in social media. I'm a user of social media, but I see for my students, it has I think it has just degraded the
human element.
The human element of just connecting with people. I feel like it has restructured the grammar, like like no more capital I's, the punctuation, you can forget it. So much so that the way people communicate on social media is also the way that folks communicate in professional settings. I am fighting tooth and nail to get my students to literally write a beginning, middle, and signature in an email. Like a dear so-and-so or a hi Mr. So-and-so. I would like to blah, 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 question mark, whatever. Just that, and I really do believe that that's a result of how social media, because it's quick, it's fast, you don't have to think about punctuation. And so that my friends, when they say, you texting like you write an email. I mean, but that's, that's where I come from.
Yeah.
So, but I see, I see it in that way from an academic setting, that I think that it has really sort of degraded a little bit of how the authenticity of communicating. I think it's so quick. Gotta be just one short answer, and now you add emojis in there. Like
you don't have to
use words. You have to use words, to which I think is a little more confusing too, because what does this mean? Is that a prayer? Is that a clap? Right? You know what I mean? Or is that a punch in the face? Or is that like, what is it? So there are forms of nuance that creates ambiguity too in it. But then I see it in a social way, how it has so much power and so much influence on where they get their value. We're talking about like things that where we've gotten our value from, or what have influenced us from our childhood and how we've grown up, things of that nature. And thank God for my mom, who gave me so much value by what she did, and what she said, and how she affirmed me, what I could do. And how she allowed me to say, no. If you don't want to go play with your friends today, you go tell your friend you don't want to play with them. You don't tell me. Don't John come to mind. He's coming for you. You figure that out. But they can't. My students can't do that. Like I see that in the world now, where social media they care so much about the picture than they do about the actual connecting with people. And it's a struggle.
So you and I'm gonna get the feed, because I want to ask a question about the whole social media and that whole relationship thing piece. When people put stuff on their phone and it's evidence.
It's crazy.
That's a whole other. Can I see the phone?
That too. I don't think they realize even how social media is an extension of them. They want to sort of pull back and say, well, it's just on social media. I didn't mean it. But okay, well, let's put that in perspective. If you said this to somebody in person, what are the repercussions of that? So I still think.
So you got two little. You got a couple kids.
Yeah, I got two. I got a 6-year-old and an almost 3-year-old.
Okay. And then, so how does social media function in your house?
So am I
tech literate?
So yeah, we are tech literate. So my son doesn't. He doesn't have any of that stuff. He doesn't have a phone. He has nothing. And I mean, my wife and I, we joke that they gonna hate us because he ain't getting one until he's about like 13. I said everywhere he needs to know.
You gonna fight the good fight?
I'm gonna fight the good fight, because it's funny. I teach a summer program, and there's a student who's in 8th grade. And he didn't have we were doing activities like take out your phone and do this little QR code thing.
He
was awesome.
He didn't have a phone, and it was funny to see how the students responded to that and how content he was without having a phone.
Wow.
But anyhow, we don't. They don't have any social medias or anything like that. No video games or anything, things like that. My struggle is with regard to how much screen time they get watching TV and things like that, and trying to get them to, all right, you get that limit, let's try and do something productive. Because if you want your kids to be productive, that means you got to be more involved. And at times, that's a little struggle for me for building your career, being a husband, being present, taking on the load of cooking and cleaning and all those things. And then now I got to read you a book for 2 hours as you learn this. And my son is bilingual. He speaks Spanish and English.
Wonderful.
So there's a dichotomy of me I only speak to him in Spanish, but my wife does English.
Okay.
And there's, times where I have to split it, or I got to go back to Spanish. But I guess to be continued on that. I have to come back in a couple of years and give you some insight on how it's going. Right now, it's just none of that is we try to limit what we can, and then I try not to let them see us on our phones too.
Yeah.
Because I think that we're their models.
Yeah.
They always see us. Yes. They want to wonder what we're doing.
And I think all three. Now I don't know. I'm gonna answer this question this way, and I think I would like for you to chime in because you said you have 3 kids. I know one of the things that I did was, because they said more is caught than taught, right? From what people see, right? And images and presence mean a lot. We wouldn't watch particular shows when my son was at a particular age.
Same.
Right? So that helps, shape. And I always say just because someone is old enough for it, that don't mean they have to do it. That's the one thing I always told my son, my kids, like, because you're old enough to smoke, that don't mean you have to smoke.
Right.
You know, kids say, well, when I get 21.
I'm going to drink.
Well,
Well, you don't have to.
just because you're old enough for it, that doesn't mean you have to do it.
Right.
It ain't that you don't have to go through that. And I believe that's one of the things that's most powerful from a social media perspective. And these romantic
Here you go.
and social relationships, and I'm gonna pull up some data. I promise you, I got some data. I want to get the conversation out first, then bang you on the head with data. How has that impacted the communication gap to rating one another, dealing with the court system in these, situations?
How has social media impacted?
Social media, like communicating, like you said, the person got the phone.
Yes.
I mean,
it helps in that when he gives his story, she gives her story, somebody may have evidence of their story to back up their story. So, if he said, no, she came at me first. I did not. He hit me. And you see when she came at me first, then it helps that way.
Okay.
But it takes a lot to get it in court now because courts haven't caught up with the times.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's helpful and sometimes you can't get it in.
What counsel, because you said you're a big advocate of men.
I am.
Right. So what counsel do you give young men on how to handle these kind of dynamics when it comes to the opposite sex?
I try to tell them to avoid it, but I do understand sometimes I'm a woman. I know what we do. I know how we provoke. I know what we can say. So quite frankly, I haven't mastered or even, I think, been somewhat successful in trying to tell these young men who are incapable sometimes of managing their own life how to manage a situation that way. Because there are emotions and there is one party trying to manipulate and control. And then when you have some substance that may be involved, it's just a whole recipe for disaster. So trying to tell these young men and grown men, 50 plus, on how not to get in these situations, to be quite frank, it's difficult. I don't think I've been successful or even have a good number to tell you of me being able to talk to them. Because sometimes they come back with the same situation, same woman, they go right back. And then they come back, same situation.
Yeah, it's fix you first, right?
Yeah, so it's difficult. And then, like we said, the insight in how to stop the pattern.
Yeah.
Right.
How do you stop the pattern? Once your mind is set in that pattern, either traumatic, and going to jail was not dramatic or traumatic enough.
Yeah.
So what do we do? Where do we go?
Yeah, I said if people keep ending up with the same result, right? You got to find out what and who is the common denominator, right?
Right.
No doubt, because you're the consistent thing in a relationship.
Exactly.
And remember, I always tell people, who you choose says a lot about who you are.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the question you ask yourself, what does it say about you? If you keep running into that same situation, so here's a couple questions you got to ask yourself. What needs to change with me? Where can I go get the help to change? Where is Jari is one of those four sides of every person, right? So what side of me that I don't see that others see, that I'm blind to, right? And then I think, and I believe you should have good counsel in your life and people who can speak truthfully, honestly, with compassion, but also with some integrity, right? And if it's probably something hard to hear, it's probably better to accept than something that's easy to learn.
Right.
Right. So those are some of the things when you're dealing with these situations, and then your decisions represent who you are. So these are those insight questions, and one of the A's is to assess. If a relationship died, do an autopsy. What killed
There you go.
Oh, that never happened. That hardly ever happened.
Because people they stuck in the hurt of it, or
you jump right back into something else.
Well, I mean, and it's the saying, people forget honesty to get the need met, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So folks say, if I'm honest, what it's going to cost me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool. But the thing is, you got to understand what's the cost of bad decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And you tally that up, right? And take money off the table. Just talk about your emotional, your physical, your psychological state of being.
Right.
And I think if people begin to ask those kind of intrinsic questions, those implicit questions, right? And do that autopsy, and then say, do I want to get better? Do I want to change this dynamic, right? But at first, like we said, the first relationship you have is with yourself. And if you don't have, I always say, if you ain't got to go with yourself, don't invite nobody over.
But unfortunately, most of the people I see don't. Unfortunately.
What's that?
With my job, don't have good relationships with themselves. But one thing I want to jump back on the social media, there's a lot of bad part about it, but I try to find good and stuff.
It's good. It's good. It's got some
And
good
the part I think is good is with when us growing up, we didn't have that social media. We didn't have, so when things were bad at home or there was situations, we kind of felt isolated.
Yeah.
You could, because we learned what go on in this house, stay in this house.
No doubt.
Which has destroyed some of our family. But I think with the social media aspect, the younger generation are learning, no, I'm not by myself in this. There are other people that are going, and you can see post on it, or I'm not real well versed. You probably can help me out with this.
That's the word.
But post and different groups you can get into
no doubt.
that are similar, are going through the same. So I think in that respect it helps because your generation is more apt to try to seek out others that are going through this and to get help. And you can go right on your phone to BetterHelp or find a therapist that you can talk to, which is a blessing. Now, whether some of us use it or not, but nevertheless, it's there that we didn't have.
Yeah.
We had to wait till we get older and sometimes just really mess up. We're like, you know what, I need to get some help from somebody. Somebody needs to help me, So I think in that respect, for social media, I think is good.
Yeah.
Because you can reach out to somebody or something.
Well,
When you get to the point, praise God, let's hope you get to the point where you realize you need it's suffering, and if you're depressed and stuff, it's all over social media on how to get help.
So it's interesting. I'm going to read this because I think is critical. It says, so it's two guys. One name is Borisov and Merle, and they said they have delineated clear differentiation communication styles between men and women. We talked about that, which are compounded by sex traits, stereotypes regarding assertiveness, interruptive behavior, perceptions of politeness. And I think too often, as you said earlier, Fee, and we're going to talk about the 5 A's, because we're going to give you the ABCs of relationships. Today is going to be the A's. You got to come back with the D's. We definitely got some C's. But if we get to the D's, y'all failed. This is decisive, you know what I'm saying?
We're going to the whole alphabet.
So we're going to tackle the first A, because I think one of it is, when we look at these relationships and how we communicate, is that it's that assessment component, right? So I don't want to interject at this point. I want to say, so when you hear that, what does that mean to you? If you was to look at those 3 facets, right? You said you're a teacher, you're at home raising your kids, and then from a social standpoint, what's appropriate on how to assess their proper information and come up with the solution-led problem?
Oof, man, that's a deep one. Oh man. Well, I mean, I use the word. I think. Well, I interpret the word assess as evaluate, to come up with results, to look at. Like if I give a test to my students, I'm trying to look at specifically what I taught and see what they understood or did not understand. So
hold up, wait. So you said you was impatient.
Yeah.
So you assessed the situation.
Right.
You made the evaluation. So
this is what's causing that, right? What's causing the impatience?
So assessing that, how was you able to reconcile, right? Because you made an assessment, a self-evaluation, which I think is good, by the way. How did you reconcile that aspect in that relationship with your significant other?
I think it's a recalibrating. I think it is, now that I know it exists, to recalibrate and try different things. So so one, I'll try not to put myself in a situation where I'll be impatient, where like, rushing,
Yeah.
right? If I know be a better time manager, yeah, I know those are things that are going to cause that. Or if I'm in a line at the supermarket or in the store, and I'll just have to say, you know what, choose a different time to go. Right. So I think there's a certain, so that's the evaluation part, right? That's you recognize it now. I'm saying, okay, I should probably do something differently if I want different results.
So let's do this, because I love this part. How are you able to identify that? Because I think that's one of the things we're talking about, right? Like people don't have the right words, the situations. How do you identify that you was impatient? What prompted say, I'm impatient?
Well, I don't want to. Well, my spouse. I mean,
okay,
she told you.
It may be that simple.
Exactly. I mean, everybody might not have a spouse or significant other to tell them, to show them that thing.
Okay.
I think if I don't know if it were not her, I'm sure it would probably be something else to. Maybe I stuck my toe too many times, or now you got a boot on your foot because you done fell because you keep what. So I think there are always things that will happen. We just have to be willing to hear it, listen, and receive that. Be cognizant that is a thing if we want to be introspective enough. But honestly, that's what it was. She said, "Well, you're a little bit impatient." That's like you just said. Now, the thing that you might not want to hear might be exactly the thing that. So I didn't want to hear that at first, but I think realizing that that's the case, I go with the situation where I'm getting all. It's just a line in the supermarket. Chill, like.
It's funny. I got a saying, and you'll hear a bunch of them. Truth is hard to swallow. Deception is hard to forgive. What pill do you want?
There you go. Right. Yeah. Because if you deceive me, I don't know how much easier is coming back from you. Right? When you tell me the truth, I might be mad at you, but I still be your friend.
So Fee, so wait a minute. You ain't getting away, Fee. I got something for you. So you got 3 boys. Wait a minute. So as a parent, what was revealed to you about your? And I'm a chime in too, but I want to. What was revealed to you as a parent, being a mother of 3 boys?
Testosterone.
Yeah, included in me, because my first inclination with my boys was, I was a mother, but I played sports too. I was an athlete. I was, so I got with them too. They probably more scared of me than their father. So I was I was like, okay, girl, you have to. Come on, be the feminine side more. You can't. So I did realize that, when my boys would get riled up, well, I'm right with them. And I had to learn, even as in my marriage, I had to learn as I got older, when I had a disagreement with whether it was my sons or my spouse or boyfriend, whatever. I had boyfriend at this age, pray for me. And being a woman, the softer I got, the more I won. The more aggressive I got, I lost. Because when I'm in that dynamic with the man, if I'm coming back at him, well, he's gonna come back as a guy, But as a woman, either a mother and or the spouse, female spouse, if I got softer, he came back with coming down too, and listening. And then coming to an understanding. And with my sons, well, sometimes I still stayed aggressive. I'm not gonna, it worked. But then I also realized that, being softer and more of a mother helped also. So for me, learning that, realizing that, as a woman, I hate to say the word roles because, this feminism, we ain't gonna discuss that with me because I have issues. You have to assert yourself, and me being an attorney in a male-dominated field, I had to learn to, and I had to learn, girl, that's work. That's work. You can't bring that home. It's gonna be a problem. So, in that respect, learning that about myself, which I think a lot of my female counterparts need to learn. Y'all hear me, girls? Y'all hear me? That just relishing in being a woman and being feminine, it's okay. It's okay.
See, she peeked and she ain't see my notes, right? So the next one, the next A was attitude. That was the next A, right? We talking about resolving problems. Okay, that's resolving problems. So the next one was attitude, and I think that speaks huge, especially in conflict, right? When things run high, if you both running high, no matter where you are, it probably is not going to have good results in the end.
Absolutely.
And like you say, and then switching that temperature, modulating that emotion, right? Reducing the vibration, which is good. Like you say, recalibrating that situation, right? And I think that, and there's no loss in that, because I think at times we feel like it's a win and a loss.
Yep.
You are right and a wrong. It's what's most beneficial.
Precisely.
So I think at times when we get into all these conversations, what's the goal of it, right? If the goal is to be right, then you just stay in the house and look in the mirror every day. But I always look to be effective.
And you're going to be in the house by yourself. In the mirror every day. Just win or lose.
So I think that attitudes matter, right? And, it's interesting. On another show, I said to somebody, I said, and this gets back to who we are. And I think this is great. You ever notice when people get older, they don't care no more. They don't care what you care what you think about them.
Or what they say.
Or what they say. I'm not recommending that. But what I am saying, what if you was able to get to that earlier? Back to what we talked about with ourselves, right? So the quicker you get to not caring, and not caring in a way like disregard, but in a way that you impact me. I always tell people, what you eat don't make me fat.
Right.
And just because you're pretty, that don't make me ugly.
That's
right. And look, we said it earlier, you only can work what you got. If you ain't got it, you can't work with it, right? So I think that if we get to that part, in dealing with difference, I think that's one of the, and I think this is a good segue, I think that's one of the most difficult things to deal with in any environment is different. And difference at time is seen, not with the proper perspective, as I'm losing something.
Right. Not wrong, just different.
And I think, it's, and as you know, if he was coming down here with directions, there's a lot of different ways to get here.
Yes.
And if you ain't got good directions.
Yes. Yes.
So, but
yes, I'm bringing it down. See, I'm coming down. I'm not coming back at you. I'm like, yes, you're right.
So I always tell people, it's a lot of ways to get to a place.
Yes.
But if you only know one way, you limit yourself.
Yes.
So if you in relationships, or if you working in a group, or if you work in, in these various environments, appreciate the difference, right? And what can you learn from that? What's your thoughts when it comes to that?
Yeah, that's a great one, because I typically would think that, well, just, if it's different, then I ain't gonna be part of it. It goes against the grain. It's not part of my language, so to speak. But I embrace the idea now that it's because I think we equate difference to wrong.
Yes,
and that's why I just said a few minutes ago that it's not wrong, just different. Because if I take Market Street to get here and you take Filbert, and you just take a different route, right? One's a one way, one's that you can't turn right, one you can't, but you still got here. And my approach to that now, even with teaching and raising my sons and my daughter, I mean, I see a lot of connection between teaching and raising children. A lot of connections there, so that works in my favor. But I think I'm open to now being able to hear a different perspective, because I want to know how that will either bring more to the picture or maybe affirm my thoughts about that topic or bring more light to it. Because I feel like those are the only two things that will come out of difference. It's either going to affirm something you believe or it's going to bring more light to something you thought you believed or you did believe. So,
now watch the AP now. So I want to say a 3-part question, but I'm going to slow down.
I can only do 3 bites at a minute, memories.
So you're an attorney.
Yes.
Right. and you're in the system.
Yes.
And then you understand the cultural dynamics
Yes.
of which the people
Yes.
that's in these systems.
Yes.
And then a lot of people in leadership
Yes.
and from a judicial standpoint don't look like the people that's
Yes.
being a part of the punishment.
Yes.
How are you able to bridge that gap conversationally and culturally from a relationship standpoint with your peers at work when dealing with these dynamics of people of a darker hue?
How much, speaking about language and communication, I thank God that I have been blessed with the ability to do that. And one thing I say in doing my job, I grew up middle class from San Antonio, Texas. It wasn't rough, y'all. So when I went into the criminal justice system, even though my clients looked like me, we were so different in how we thought. And so I learned that most of society had put it black and white, but it's social economic. I found that people, no matter the color, green, orange, black, or white, or maroon, in the same economic situation, kind of think the same.
Behaviors are the same,
no matter what color they are. So I learned that but for the grace of God, I could have been the defendant and not the attorney. And because of where I was born and the blessings I had, I could have been sitting where they sit. And coming from that perspective, I was able to listen to my client, hear the story. We're big with hearing the story. Hear the story, process the story, and then spit it back out. So that the jury, the judge, understand the perspective from this person sitting in the seat. Because I wouldn't know if I didn't take the time to talk to the person, the communication, to understand the perspective. My job has really taught me to be a lot less judgmental of what most people would judge, like the sexual predators. I kind of look at it like, well, what happened? What's the story?
How did we get here?
How'd you get there?
What's the
that
story?
didn't happen in a vacuum.
Especially instead of just automatically thinking they're the devil and I don't do that. And that was because of my job, and that's because of the relationship, the communication that I have with my clients, and taking the time to understand. Because I didn't come from that to understand. And then, for instance, when I was representing juveniles, they all want to see the kids as these demonic kids and they just bad and stuff. But then when I was doing a trial one time, this judge, we're not going to say any names, but just kind of high and mighty, and I'm here to help these children. Anyway, so I explained to him, I said, well, Your Honor, you were 12 years old. You haven't seen your mom in a week. You have a younger brother that's 6, a younger sister that's 4. Somebody in the neighborhood that you've been knowing your entire life say, yo, little man, take this bag, put it there on that step. I give you $50. You haven't seen your mother in a week. What have y'all eaten? What do y'all have to eat?
Who's supervising?
So you telling me all I have to do is take this bag and sit it right here and I can get $50, me and my sister and my brother can eat? You take the bag. You get the $50. Y'all get to eat.
Right.
Then when the cops come, I'm labeled this drug dealer. 12. I'm labeled a drug dealer. I'm bad. I got to go to this group home. They're going to put me in this service. I was just trying to eat and take care of my brother and sister. And I told that story to the judge who wanted to send the baby to, juvenile correction. And he stopped.
Wow.
So I said, well, so what I'm asking in an alternative, Your Honor, is can we get a mentor?
There you go.
Can we get social services to come into the home? Can we get some drug help for the mother? Instead of just sending this child up, he's been a child, trying to survive.
Right.
So in understanding, as you said, and hearing the story, the understanding the relationship, and telling my higher ups this child or this person's situation.
Now, I'm gonna tell y'all this. I am not doing this. You know what the next word is?
Stop.
Acknowledgement. That's the next
You
word.
need to stop.
Yo,
Y'all check
You
each
need
other.
to stop.
Wait a minute.
You need to stop.
Hold on, wait a minute.
You need to stop.
Look, I didn't make this up. The next word, I can show you the sheet. The next word is acknowledgement. And that's a beautiful story when it comes to that.
Absolutely.
If we take the time to hear out, right? and understand and look at it more constructive as
Yes.
opposed to punitive.
Yes.
Right, and have some empathy and sympathy
Right.
along with that. And I think that's a great way to communicate in today's environment when it comes to relationships. With all these are the remedies, these are the solutions, these are the best practices. When it comes to now, I'm telling you that was the next word.
You know what, Al? You know what? I don't know.
I got it.
It might have been 3 in front of that. You gonna skip down?
No, assessment, attitude, acknowledgement. I'm telling you right now. And you know what? The next one was action. You already talked about that.
You know what?
So and we're saying this for a reason because we want to give people the tools, and I think this works out in all facets, right? So because when we hear relationships at times, we look at it from a one-dimensional lens, and I think we got to look at it's a part of the some parts of all things, right? Who we are, how we see ourselves, how we show up, how we engage, how we communicate with ourselves, right? How we feel about ourselves. What help shape those views of that, right? And then how we choose to engage, in these different environments we go. And I always tell people, where you go, you go. Right? I mean, you go to work, that's where you go. When you go home, that's where you go. And then when you go out socially, and these are all the interpersonal interactions that we have with people. And the healthier you are, having a good view of yourself and understanding what's your innate ability. We talked earlier that a lot of times people don't see their self-worth because they compare. If only if I had.
Right.
As opposed to using what I have to get me to where I gotta go and picking up some things along the way.
There you go.
Right. And I think that's what people gotta look at, like, what is my innate ability? What can I do naturally, intrinsically, to make me purposeful? And I always ask people, well, every human being, the first question they want to know is identity. Who am I? The second one is, what's my purpose? The third one gets us in trouble. Comparison. If I had what you had, no, look, always tell people, listen, you will always ask for more. But if you work on what you have, then the less you'll be focused on what other people have. Because you're too busy cultivating, the talent, the gift, or whatever the case that you may have. So it's a real interesting dynamic when we had these conversations about relationships and dealing with today's culture, right? Because today's culture, we're inundated. Like, I got this data, it says like 2.5 billion people on social media. That's a lot of folks, right? And then the thing is, what are we watching? And I think that's what we should think about. We should ask people, or people should ask themselves, why do I like that particular, whatever, right? Why do I am drawn to that? Like, sometimes we don't even know, because I believe we don't know what questions to ask internally, right? Like, what's making me choose, or that choice, or what's influencing or shaping my thought process when it comes to that? Why I want to be with you.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? And how can my best self show up, and what can I do to get better? What can I do to get better? Or who can I be around? Right? Or who can I gain access to do it now? With the different speeds. You got kids, I got kids, you got kids, right?
Sure.
Do you parent differently because the kids are different? And do the kids?
I had to learn that.
Go ahead.
I don't know. I feel like I might be. My daughter probably can't tell me yet because she.
She can see though.
Yeah. But my son said something so profound. My wife was asking him, who, does various things. So who gives the most hugs? Who does most cleaning? Who does the most cooking? Just going through asking him all these random questions. And he started pointing out this, mommy does this, daddy does that, and he goes, who gives the most hugs? And he goes, mommy gives the most hugs, daddy gives the most. He said he gives the best kisses or something like that. But it was interesting to see that how he's already visuals can see who's doing what and what they're doing, but with parenting, I think I see so much in myself.
No doubt. You definitely see that.
And that I think naturally I'm more adamant about making sure he's getting some of the things that I didn't have, or he's getting taught some of the things that I wasn't taught. My daughter, though, I realize is a little more challenging. I think it could be because she's a girl, or just because she's a toddler, and I'm trying to recalibrate my emotion to deal with an angsty toddler. But I do think that there's a I feel like I'm parenting differently because I can't talk to them the same way.
Yeah, I always tell people, you are the TV your kids watch, what channel you got.
Yeah, exactly.
Because believe me, we study our parents.
Exactly.
And if for some odd reason we become parents, we forget our kids study us. Right? They are observing, they're assessing. They can't put it all together. They may not communicate it in a way that, but they are processing that, and they're looking at how we are the first teachers. You know, we are the first communicators, right? We're the first people how they deal with difference, how we resolve conflict, how we calibrate our emotions and our tone and our texture and temperature of words. So that's why that's why we need the tools.
I need the tools.
We're
back to the next.
We on the A's today, y'all. So people, so we just can your sons tell?
Yes.
Yes.
And they told me.
And is that right? Because my mom, I'm the youngest of three.
Okay.
My mom parented me differently than she parented my brother and my sister.
But how did you feel about that? That's the question.
I didn't like it because I felt like I had the lens on me. No, it was I had all the
expectation.
Yes, and they. Like, I felt like by the time she got to me, she had gotten her parenting together. She was like, all right, I got it now. You ain't gonna do this. And my siblings. So is that fair? I don't know.
I got a question for that, but I want to get the feed. So what I think is,
I want to hear.
Well, so sometimes, right? Like anything, people see things in you that they don't see in others, that you don't see in yourself. People have expectations, right? So I tell my kids, right? And this could be that. I expect what you're capable of. I'm not, if you have the capabilities, I expect you to meet that standard. Because first of all, if I expect you to do something you can't do, I'm gonna get frustrated all the time.
There's a deficit already.
So that could be one of those scenarios. She said, if I get him to tap in and reach his optimum level, his maximum level, then he can be great. That's not to say that those other three, because we parent people based on all different kind of dynamics, temperaments, and things of that nature. Who can handle what? You know, because you can give out the same edict and everybody respond to it differently. You know, some people will be, you got the strong-willed child, permissive. You know,
that's my daughter.
Yeah,
strong-willed.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fun.
Yeah. So
it's not.
So with your three sons.
Yeah, I parent differently. My kids are 8 years apart.
Yeah.
So my older boys will be 25 this year, and my youngest just turned 17. And the same tactics that I used on my older sons, they were the type that if I said, son, the stove is hot, my older boy, don't touch it. Go around it, go under it, go over it. Just don't touch it because A, B, C, and D will happen. Okay, Mom, they'll go around it, they'll go over it, they'll go under it, because I already told them what could happen. My younger son, I said the same speak, well, I'm going to touch it. And I'm going to see what's going to happen. So I had to learn, I'm still in the process, he's 17, of learning to parent him, because I have to parent him differently. He's that strong-willed child. He's the type that I had to learn on his own. And as a parent, for me, that's very hands-on, to sit back and have to watch your child bump his head against the wall several times. He got a hickey, he have blood, it's bruised. And I'm like, son, if you just walk around the wall, just walk around. And he won't. And until he come to me, bloodied and bruised, Mom, how do I get around this wall? Then he's open and receptive to me assisting. Well, son, just take 2 steps to the side, and you can go around the wall. That it's that easy for me to see, but he had to learn. So I had to learn to. I'm still learning to parent him, and I have to do it a lot differently than my older 2.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think this dynamic is a lot of places because we're all teachers and parents and things of that nature, not the places where we function. Sometimes we save them and it delays their healing. and then,
I did that too.
Yeah, the people say let them fail fast, right? And sometimes that failure option kind of helps recalibrate a lot of different things.
Yeah.
When you don't have much room, see, they got room because we done some things, made some good decisions in our life. So they got a lot of room
to make mistakes.
Yeah. In my case, I didn't have a lot of room because my decision was going to be immediate, and bountiful, in that. So we wrapping up. So we had action. I think one of the things that as we communicate dealing with people with difference, as we communicate talking about all these complexities of relationships in today's society, and the 3 environments we function in, I know one of the things that's always been beneficial is being courteous, being honest, and being respectful. You can go a long way for in almost in any disagreement. Like you said, you soften the words, being polite, being honest, right, in a way that's beneficial. What are some of the action steps that you would say that some people can take? Because you're a teacher and giving people that perspective from being a teacher and being, dealing with boys, and I'm sure you read the book. How to deal with boys. And then I'll jump on you. What's some of the things you can just...
teaching boys. I think some of the actionable steps for me, I think I've learned to give them space to talk.
Yeah.
There's particularly around the school year where we're doing midterms and I have to talk to parents about if my student is failing or he's got a D or he's on the cusp and things like that. And most of the parents are shocked. They don't know. Oh, I never knew John was, I didn't know he was failing. Well. So I'll go and I'll say, hey, John, what's going on? You do have an F in my class. Can you tell me what's going on? And some of them are brought to tears because they never have had the opportunity of someone just say, what's going on? Like, why are you getting that? Yeah. Because grades to them at the school that they're at and just where they find their value means so much to who they are as a teenager at that point in their life, right? If I get a D or when I get an F, if I get that means that I'm dumb or I'm a failure or I don't know the material. Whereby really you're not actually, you're just not a good test taker. So you get test anxiety, you get nervous and you blank out. But if I ask you to do a project on this exact same grammar topic, you can do it, right? Yeah. So I think the actionable step that I've taken and I encourage many people to do is to find the space to create conversation, to get to the issue, because I think that really is how you meet the person where they are, so that they're able to then see themselves and then become, oh, I actually can do this because somebody took the time to show you. And I think with boys that's particular because they don't want to talk, but if you create the time, I think they're more willing to.
Well, what's interesting, and it's interesting because when you see them on a football field, see, they boys talk in certain environments, certain situations where they feel safe, right? Because you can get a group of boys together, and they can play a game and make the rules up as they go along, right? Just I'm speaking typically, right, or generally, right? Girls, they gotta know all the rules before the game starts. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know what I mean? They be sitting there, boys argue, get over it, let's get to this thing and figure that out. If you put them on there, so and I think what has happened educationally, and I think even from a parental standpoint, they haven't been given the room more so than anything to express themselves. And I think that
with words,
because
I feel like they get the space to express themselves athletically, physically.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
even intellectually, right? You got this platform, they got all the head nerds and but verbally expressing something that you're feeling or you want people to know is key. I've seen, even in myself, with my son, when he's upset, what made you feel that way? Oh, because you yelled at me. I didn't think I yelled, but he interpreted that as a yell. Why? How did that make you feel? Made me sad. Why? Because I don't like when you yell. It makes me feel this. It makes me feel that. So I need to do a little recalibration. Because I don't want you to think I'm yelling when I'm not yelling at you. So it's the mirror. But yeah, I think that has been paramount.
So, Fee, now you talked about the dynamics in court. We're going to talk about the power of women, some action items. and dealing with...
I need to know this. I'm
just right. This is what I know.
So, how can we... So what's your thoughts with the power of women in relationship dynamics? As I'll say, as a mother, as a sister, and as a significant other or partner. What kind of message you can give women, actionable items to?
Oh, I do this all the time. So this is
that's what.
No, I do talk to women about the ultimate power that we have in all three of the situations you gave. As a mother, the mother is the first teacher. So the power that you have to pour into your child sometimes can be the difference between whether he passes or fails, excels or goes down. As the mother, some of us aren't good at it. I know in courts, I'll tell you now, I know a lot of men think when they go into court that the woman is automatically going to lose, and I can look both of you in the eye and say that is not true. It has shifted. There are many, many, many men that come in and win custody of their children and take their children home, and the mom is paying child support. Happens often, very often.
Oh, what has shifted? What has shifted?
Oh, yeah.
The thinking process.
Okay.
The dynamic in the families, the influx of drugs now.
Yeah.
So the mom is not always in the best position.
Yeah.
She's not always the best parent. And courts have recognized that because we have more social workers and different things and under psychiatrists that understand the dynamics of this and have written reports and done all kind of research. So we are understanding and realizing the mom is not always the best parent. So when it comes in and finds that the father is more stable, a better parent, the children go with their father. That happens often.
Ooh, wow.
Very often. And that's the mother perspective. The sister perspective, well, as a brother, y'all know how y'all look up to your sister. What she says, you protect for her. Same. So what she engages in, if she's with this dude that's always beating her up, that can get you in trouble. Because you have to protect her. So even far as that, we have power to, and what your sister says has an impact on you. And far as women, and when we are healed, and we do understand that we can guide our brother through a lot of situations and things. For instance, your sister with your wife. Boy, she just trying to tell you to stop talking so much and let her put the makeup on. She don't want to put it on in the car.
There you go.
She just want to put it on in the house so it looks right because it looks like a different light in the car. And you're like, oh, that's why she want to put her makeup on in the room? Yes, that's all to
That
it.
was marital argument number one.
Sit on the couch and look at the game. Let her do her makeup. When she comes down, say, oh, babe, your makeup looks nice. It's going to open a lot of doors for you later on that night, brother. I tell you that.
You know what I say? Outside
a sister can tell you that.
Right.
A significant other. The power we have, I tell women, when you're in a relationship with a guy, man, his sole goal is to make you happy.
That's it. Ease.
He wants you to be happy. He will damn near move a mountain to make sure you are happy. That is the ultimate power in a relationship. But if you make him, if the mountain is over here and he's trying to climb, I'm going to put the mountain over here. And if you put the mountain over there, he go over there and he try to do the mountain here. Oh, well, I'm just going to put the mountain. He's going to stop because he can't see the end goal. Men are goal oriented. He's not going to see the end goal, girl. So you have to, as the woman, put the mountain there and almost tell him, climb the mountain one day at a time, honey. And when you climb the mountain, use silk rope and not the heart, because it can be tight. You're giving him how he will follow every step you say, because he wants to make you happy.
So wait a minute, hold on. And I like this.
No, here
so
you go.
I'm thinking a little
You know how I am. Come on, man. You want to take me there? It's so funny because when I talk to young men, especially him, I've had men that call me up. Now say that again. What you think? What I gotta do? What the rope?
No. The last A is analysis, but I'm not even playing.
Stop. You need to stop.
I'm telling you, last A is analysis. So why do you? How can I ask this question? So when you share that with women, what's the hurdle, or is it hard to hear, or what has changed, or what's the dynamic that's hard to hear that impact?
What is with anything, any system you have? When it's written down or made up, the system is perfect until you add the human factor.
No doubt.
Which will mess it up every single time. And so in the mother, the parent relationship, the sister, the brother relationship, the significant other, when you add in the human factor, all of the hurts we have, misconceptions, what we think, how we grew up, messes it up. We're going to get on the feminine movement. We're not going to get on that. But I will say it has really damaged a lot of things. And how we women perceived our role as a significant other, our role as the mother, everything. It has seeped through and, in my opinion, damaged. Because I think we as women, and I can speak on this, y'all can't say it, just
I'm gonna let you talk.
Women, we have gone from, being the one at home and submissive women hate that word, to being, okay, I want to be equal to a man. I'm better than a man. We went to that point. Now I am a man. Where are we going?
Right.
Where are we going with this? And it doesn't work. It hasn't worked. And matter of fact, I think it has failed us more than it has helped us at all, when there is power and beauty in being a woman.
It's funny. It's interesting that you say that, because intrinsically, there's things about women only women know.
Yeah.
Right.
And intrinsically, there's things about men that only men know.
Oh, yeah.
And the thing is, why are you trying to be something that you naturally is not?
That the Lord has not allowed, will not allow, and it's just not.
Once you take something out of its natural state,
you mess up every time. Every single time.
But if you cultivate,
yes.
Watch this, what's organic.
Yes.
And don't put no artificial flavor in you. Because you're talking about artificial flavor.
Taking away or adding.
Talking about no preservatives.
Yes.
Right.
That's what people got to understand. And I think the shift has happened. There was a guy behind the feminist movement. Look it up, Google it.
Makes sense.
It was a guy behind it.
Makes sense.
So what people got to understand, you have to reclaim, right? Because it's these social scripts. We'll talk about that next time. It's these social scripts that now this is the image. This is what the real woman looks like. This is what today's woman, this is today's man, as opposed to yesterday's man. And we just don't know. A lot of people call them plays. A lot of people call them plays. And we giving people power outside of ourselves, right? And getting those things outside of ourselves to define. It's inside outside. It ain't outside inside.
Yeah.
Right.
When you do an outside inside, it's over.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier, hey, what determines what happened in that room determines what happened outside that room. And there's all kind of rooms in the house. If you want the bedroom to be right, make sure the living room is cool.
Yes.
Make sure the dining room is cool.
Yes.
Make sure the kitchen is all right. We won't get into that.
One room can't neglect the other.
Like I said, if you want that room to change, outside the room determines what's happening in the room.
Absolutely.
And it's like the same thing, the rooms in our life. And I think it's how we build, who we are and what are those components that we need, the tools that we need. Hey, but you know what? I'm glad that the guest came today. It's been a beautiful discussion. You will be seeing this. We'll send out the hashtags on where you go visit this. Subscribe to it and have the conversation. But I really like to appreciate our guests today. They was forthright. They was honest. And I believe they gave us some tools on how to work in all these different dynamics when it comes to the state of relationships in today's world, one with ourselves and then two with others, and how we function. So once again, we appreciate you coming to the Relationship Lab. As we said before, there may be, you see that we had some discussions. You can see there may be some decision. I don't think it was too much.
Not too much.
And we can talk about differences, but one of the things we want to always do is give you that diplomatic approach and give you the tools necessary on how to have these critical conversations to deal with relationship challenges, one with ourselves and then two with others in the very environment we function in. Tune in once again. Look forward to hearing from you again.
Peace.
Peace.